Okay, let's head on over to Japan. The country is preparing to extend its state of emergency over the coronavirus. Joining us live is Dennis Liu. Hello, Dennis.
Hi, Alma. Good evening to you and to all our televiewers. Japan Prime Minister Abe said Friday the government would plan for an approximately month-long extension of a state of emergency declared over the coronavirus pandemic. The Prime Minister put in place an initial month-long state of emergency for 7 regions on April 7th. He later expanded it to cover the entire country. But with the measures due to expire on May 6, Prime Minister Abe Shinzo said he had instructed his minister for the virus outbreak, Yasutoshi Nishimura, to plan for an extension. He also said an expert panel advising the government is reviewing the situation in different parts of the country. He said they will listen to their opinions and hope to make a decision on May 4th. Prime Minister Abe Shinzo said Japan had so far managed to avoid the sharp increase in infections seen in some other parts of the world, but cautioned that vigilance was still needed. An extension of the state of emergency had been widely expected despite the comparatively small scale of the outbreak in Japan, with nearly 40 infections recorded, 432 deaths so far. The state of emergency is significantly less restrictive than measures seen in parts of Europe and the United States. It allows governors to urge people to stay at home and call on businesses to stay shut. But officials cannot compel citizens to comply, and there are no punishments for those who fail to do so. Despite the relatively small scale of Japan's outbreak, there have been persistent fears about the spike in infections that could quickly overwhelm the country's health care system. Many governors made calls for the declaration to remain in place, citing fears that infections could spread further if the declaration is partially lifted. Doctors' associations have warned that hospitals are already stretching thin, with officials in Osaka even calling for donations of raincoats to serve as protective equipment for health workers stuck using trash bags. The government has also said it is increasing testing capacity but continues to face criticisms for the relatively low numbers of tests being carried out, in part because of stringent criteria. In other news, a school opening in Japan is likely to be moved to September instead of this month, as Tokyo and 7 other prefectures see a possible month-long extension of the state of emergency issued on April 7th due to COVID-19. This after Japan Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said during the lower house budget committee on Wednesday that the government is considering to change the school year from April to September given various factors. Abe mentioned he is considering the people as they urge him to come up with a decision. However, he needs to study a variety of options. Government officials with a ruling camp who support the idea of the revision could come up to solution the education disruptions caused by schools' temporary closures and fill in the gaps to continue to give opportunities for education. They also mentioned they would make it easier for Japanese students to study in foreign countries when their school year will start in autumn as well. Those who are against it pointed out that the schedules of recruitment and certificate tests would also need adjustments, taking note on the revision could affect the academic year and the government fiscal year starting and ending months would be different. Last Wednesday, Tokyo Governor Koike Yuriko together with Osaka Governor Yoshimura Hirofumi had expressed support after the National Governors Associations and some prefectural leaders meeting, while others said introduction for this change this year would be too soon. The government is still studying the matter in a very comprehensive way since the revision could affect its citizens as a whole. This is the latest for now. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you, Dennis, for your updates, and keep safe always. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Reporting from Tokyo, Japan, this is Dennis Liu. We live in interesting times.